Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Detectives, where we're trying to uncover the clues of great leadership. And we are delighted and honoured to be joined in this episode by Rania Odermatt, Managing Director of Avaya Switzerland. Rania is a force of nature with some outstanding ideas and some outstanding conversation about leadership, great leadership, looking after your people, how to manage your career. Some really good insights for any person who's in leadership, new or old. So we hope you enjoy the episode. If you like listening to these, please subscribe so you get notified of other episodes that are coming along. Please give us a thumbs up. Please leave comments below. We look forward to seeing you in another episode, and we hope you enjoy this conversation with Rania.
Good afternoon. Welcome everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Leadership Detectives. Great to see you here. So Neil, how are you doing? It's good to see you again. Busy week this week, right?
Busy week this week. Yeah, we got some great weeks, some great guests, and again, we're joined by a fab guest. So let's just introduce Rania straight away. So we're privileged and honoured to be joined by Rania Odermatt from Avaya. She's Managing Director for Switzerland and Austria today for Avaya. And we've known Rania we've just established probably 15 years. Probably longer actually, but at least 15 years. And it's great to have you here, Rania. Lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm fine. Happy to see you as well. Happy to be here with you, and I'm honored actually myself to be able to join your leadership detective sessions. I'm looking forward for the discussion.
No, it's great for you to join. I really appreciate it. And you're in the beautiful mountains of Switzerland as well. So we're really jealous sitting in wet and cold the UK.
Well, don't be that jealous, because it's the first day I'm seeing the sun now for a couple of weeks already. So we realize that the sky is still blue, which is a good surprise, and the sun is still shining. So it was very grey, but the difference is that now everything is white and sunny.
But Rania, I'd rather look at the snow than look at the tarmac outside my door, right? So that's fine. Good to see you here. Thank you for joining.
So look, let's start with a question that kind of helps introduce you to the audience. So if you were being invited to speak in an auditorium to a mixed group of people, how would you want to be introduced on stage? What would you want the audience to know about you personally, business? You know, who's Rania Odermatt?
Rania Odermatt is a crazy Greek person with a really impressive way. Starting going back years when I graduated in Greece, actually, going through. Actually, I think that I have the best education because I'm a school teacher. I was a school teacher. I have been educated as a teacher. That's my university degree. And I'm always saying that a teacher, and what I'm doing right now as a country manager, a managing director, or whatever is the job role or the job title, doesn't really matter. It's the same, because you have still the same targets. You have a group of people that you need to bring together. You need to identify what is the strong points and the weak points, and build a team and have targets, which at the school is not necessarily financially targets, but it's a target still. And you can't just leave someone behind, because then you haven't been successful in your role. So I'm a person that I love working in a team environment. I'm a team player, very fair team player. But at the same time, it's obvious to me that just the title is not necessarily many people will follow you. There are other qualities that you need to bring along, and that is the clear strategy, the clear message, the confidence, the empathy, and that is a very important point. So Rania Odermatt is a person that likes to take responsibility, to lead, to help develop the people. It's a very important task for me, extremely important task for me, because you can't be a leader without having coaching your team. They need to have the same dream. They need to have the same direction. So I think that goes back to my previous story as a teacher. So I want to give to the younger generation or to my team something from my experience and help them grow as well. And that's me. That crazy person.
Crazy.
No, but I think that's a really good picture. I think people can see what you're about and what's important, Rania, so that's fine. I just want to go back to something you said there, actually. What you said very early on was about the whole team needs to come with you. And I think you qualified it later on by saying part of your role is developing people, right? So that's an interesting challenge, right? How do you feel about the fact you might have a team, let's make a number up, 20 people, and one of them's not performing good? How do you approach that?
You need to go individually. I mean, it's not just a team together. I'm reaching out to each individual. So I'm really investing time with each one. And by the way, I have 40 people, but doesn't matter. And of course, you have sub teams. So you need to be able to invest the time with each one of them. Yeah. And not only, you need to invest the time not only from the business point of view, as a human point of view. You need to understand what are the pain points, what are the challenges they're facing, because whether we are going to accept it or not, our personal life is impacting our business life. So if someone has issues at home, for sure he will try not to bring with, but the human nature is that it's impacting you, it's impacting how you feel in the morning. So it's very important for me to see what's going on and to have this human connection with my employees. So and that requires time. So it's time consuming, as energy. You need the energy. I need to be honest with you. There are days that are really feeling like I don't have the energy anymore because I have invested the energy. But for me, I'm not thinking, I'm doing that because that is part of my nature. I need to do that. And at the end, you need to, as you mentioned, one is not performing. You need to understand why and how then we can act as a team and work as a team to compensate or to help that person, that individual, to come along with us. Fantastic. So it's a very multiple ways, yeah.
Fantastic.
So when you said you have to invest time in people and you have to invest time in being a human being, a leader leading humans, how do you find that time to do that? Because most leaders struggle with finding the time just to run the business. So how do you find time to manage to lead with the people as well?
That's a good question. You need to create the time. You need to put some priorities, and you need to manage your time accordingly. I'm not going to lie to you. Nothing is perfect. Like working 9 to 5 does not exist, obviously. And I think that each one of us picking up that role, accepting to be in that function, realizes that it's not a 9 to 5 job. So you need to have, and you are in multiple channels. You need to take care of your business, of your clients, of your partners. But then you need to manage your time. And I'm very much focused on how to prioritize and manage my calendar, because the time I'm not gonna ignore is the time with my individuals, with my team. It's in a weekly management system, needs to be there. Sometimes can take only 10 minutes, sometimes can take 1 hour. So I'm trying not to put that kind of discussions within a slot like you have a business slot, right? I have that opportunity to discuss it 30 minutes, that's it, let's go to the next one. Yeah. This one is open-end if needed, and I'm arranging my calendar like that. You need to find the time.
So you actually schedule time in for your people each week?
Yes. Okay. It's from the beginning of the year, the whole year, each one has its slot. And I'm leaving some before that and after that. I'm always having some time that I'm planning. So it's not like I'm limiting them to this 30 minutes or 1 hour, whatever. Yeah, I'm doing that.
So that's really interesting. So you're making time and scheduling it. And I just want to go back to something you said early on when you were introducing. You said Rania is a person who likes to take responsibility and likes to lead. Why?
Uh, I don't know. It's I think it's cultural. It's character. Um, um, there were people potentially say that I'm a control freak, which could be, could be. But you need to find the positive aspect of being control freak, because I'm really empowering my team. So yes, I was. It's interesting because goes back to a session I had when I became people manager in IBM back then. And we spent a week, these good times that IBM was really investing time on that kind of education, on soft skills and people management education. And it was a very interesting week. I get to know a lot of lovely people around the world. And then we have a special session about time management and delegation. And of course, that is, everyone says you need to prioritize, you need to delegate. And it was one vice president who said, delegation is great, empowering the team is great, it's a must to have, but at the end of the day, you need to be on top of your business. And I think that I have this sense that I need to see I'm empowering my people, I'm helping my team to stand up, I'm exposing my team, at the same time supporting them to the upline management, but I have never up to now lost control of end to end what's going on. I need to know what's going on. I don't need to have all the details, because I say if I'm going to have all the details, I'm going to do it myself, which is not the idea, right? So, but I need to know what's going on and how I can help and support the team. So it's character, it's how you think you should run the business, and up to now, it's working actually.
Yeah. Do you know, I think it's a great story, and I don't know everybody knows your story, Rania, right? Because as we were saying just before the call, you and I just realized we haven't worked together for 15 years, right? I didn't think it was that long, but it's 15 years.
We're getting older, my friend.
We are getting older, unfortunately. But you know, the great thing is you are managing director of Alpine in Avaya, right? When I met Rania, guys, she was the executive assistant to the general manager of Europe in our division, right? You've come a long way. I mean, not that that job wasn't tough, because I know what the general managers were like.
Oh.
That was a tough job, right? But you've come a long way. Couple of things in my head on that, Rania. One, how did it happen? And two, was it planned? Was that a planned journey, or was that an evolving journey? So how did it happen, and why?
Planned 100% was not. Actually, it's an interesting point, because I joined IBM back then when we met each other from another, as I mentioned, I was a school teacher, right? So then my journey is a little crazy, because I was a school teacher in Greece, then school teacher in Switzerland, no idea about IT and so on. Then I love to be challenged. I didn't think that I'm always thinking that you need to go ahead, to move, to develop, to do something different. You don't need to stay focused on something because you learn something and then you need to stay there for the 100 years, right? Although I have to admit, I love my job. I love working with kids. I was a little creative. I was giving school here in Switzerland to the Greek schools and so on. And then when we have to move, I said, okay, what I can do next? And then I changed to marketing in airlines, and then came IBM. So when I joined IBM, I have to tell you a funny story. So the first things you do is just to get your laptop, and you have 1 week to get to know about logins and so on and so forth. Yeah. And it was a quite challenging week. So no idea, right? You need to learn how to survive in a corporate environment. So I was always saying to myself, I was looking to the people sitting outside, having coffee, being in IBM with 100 years and doing various jobs. And I was saying to myself, they're not more clever than you are. I mean, if you can do something, prove it, girl. I mean, I'm not doing that for someone else. I wasn't doing that for someone else. It was for me. I wanted to see where are my limits, right? Where I can go, what thing I can reach. And theoretically, that has been recognized, because I agree with you. The career was going very quickly. I mean, it was 2 years when the job that you just mentioned. And then very quickly, I have been doing jobs in for Central Eastern Europe, Middle East, Africa as a delivery operation. And when I have the interview to get the job, and my boss back then, he was explaining to me, they thought actually, and that stay between us in that they actually thought, because I was working for that position previously, I know everything about that part of the job. So I realized that, and I said, I never said, no, you know, I don't know that, and so on. But I said, of course I can do that. There is no problem. And everyone's talking to me, and everyone was assuming that I know exactly what they're talking about. I had no idea, had really no idea. But I say, okay, they know how to do that. I'm going to learn it as well.
Yeah.
So a year after, I was really reached the point that I could really make stand in for my manager. And 2 years after, I took over his position. And a couple of years after, Neil found me and gave me my next challenge. So it was going really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And then you reach a point and you say, okay.
So just to be clear, right? I didn't find Rania. Rania, when Rania wants something, she goes for it and gets it. So
okay. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, I said I need to do something different, because you need to reach a point, the point that you reach that you have learned everything that is possible for you, then you need to move. So you cannot stay at the same point.
But you've just dispelled a myth that we have had on here for 31 episodes, right?
Okay.
And the myth was that in most of the experience that we've heard, and we've heard this directly from female leaders themselves, is that their experience is a male leader looking for their next job will say, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that's mine. That's not a problem. And the female leader will say, maybe I'm not sure. Maybe I could do 80% of it. And it just shows, right? I've got to make sure I voice this correctly. You acted like a male's attributes and your career moved at a pace. There's a really important lesson here, guys. It actually says that all the things the female leaders said up until us now, Rania has just proven it true. That when you've taken a different approach, it's accelerated your career, right?
Exactly like that. And by the way, I'm always saying, and I don't want to misunderstood here, because I'm always saying I'm a kind of against this women quote that they say all the time, okay? Because for me is embarrassing, and I don't want to be treated like I need to justify a percentage.
Yeah,
I need to have 20%, so that we need to have. That's not the correct way. I think whether male or female, they need to have equal chances if they have the competences. That's, for me, that's the point. Can you do that? Do you bring the competences, the energy? Do you want to grow? Do you want to go inside that? Do you want to go out of your comfort zone? Okay, that is the question we need to answer here. I mean, I think it's insulting for the women to say you have to take the job because you have to, as I said, justify a couple of percentages. Or what I don't like as well is women taking over leadership roles, and then they try to prove outside that I'm taking the role, I have the role because I worth really, and I haven't been made any favor, which is stupid. Because why? I haven't seen any male trying to justify that. We do a job. That's it.
I think there's a key learning point in this, though, which I think it's worth just drilling into, which is how do you say to someone, because you put your hand up and said, I want to do this. I think I can do this. I'm happy to step outside my comfort zone because I know I haven't got all the skills. I'm prepared to do this. And what we see from surveys and what we hear from other people is that ladies in business are less likely to put their hand up. They wait to be asked. So what advice would you give to any aspiring female leader on how to promote themselves or push themselves or step outside that comfort zone? What advice would you have?
Don't afraid. If you have the feeling that you can do that, if you know that you have the competences, and by the way, no one was born inside the job. everyone would learn. And actually, you're taking over a position from someone that left or moved, and then you find out a status quo, how the person was there before, structure the business. Then you need to go inside, first of all, learn, and then don't afraid and go for that and say, yeah, I think I can do that. Why not? And don't afraid. But that needs to be, the whole body language needs to say that. It's not like say, I think I can do that, but you need to feel it. It needs to be inside. The flame needs to be inside you. I want to do that. And I'm okay with all the people that they're happy what they're doing. They want to do it the next 20 years and then retire. Because if they're happy, it's okay.
Yeah.
What was the flame that was driving you? Because that's really a really good description, is the flame. Very Greek way of describing something, actually, is this flame. So what was the flame that was driving you, though?
I wanted to learn more. I wanted to grow. I wanted to see what are my limits. I'm always looking to my limits and see you can do more, you can learn. I'm listening carefully. I'm learning from other people. And that is what I want. I want always to learn more. I don't want to stay here. And then it's like the story with the boiled frog, right? You know the story?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the same. It's the same. I want to go out and I want to learn. And if I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna fail. And then you say, I failed, but I learn.
Wow, that's brilliant.
But it's interesting, actually, because as you said, it's just keep pushing, keep learning, right? And this is what we've been saying to our audience as well. You need to find what is your driver. You need to find what is it takes you to the next level, because it's not a single story for everybody, right? But no, fantastic news. Neil, your next question or me?
No, you go next.
So what we just talked about is your history. And we've talked about the things that you've done and how you've got here. I'm assuming along the journey, Rania, there might have been one or two special moments, special things that happened that stick in your mind. Probably not the toothpick story that you and I talked about earlier, but tell us about your proudest moment as a leader. So once you became a leader and you were responsible for the destiny of your business and your people, tell us about one of your proudest moments in that.
One very important moment was, and I was there, I'll give you three. The one was when I was participating to one of the big events that we have been doing back in IBM, and one lady, a female, approached me from Poland. I didn't know exactly. I mean, I have seen the name and so on, but I didn't know the lady. And she told me that she had just been promoted to a management role, and that I was the one inspiring her all the time, along the time. Wow. And that was, I didn't realize, I mean, I wasn't doing something different. I mean, I was leading those teams. I was leading CE and Middle East Africa for something like almost 7-8 years, many countries, many travels, a lot of whole events and so on. And I didn't realize that. So she approached me and she said that to me. I was really very, very proud. Yeah. That is the one thing. The other thing is that when as you know, that we have not always all the times are really very, very smoothly going. So we have a lot of challenges and a lot of issues that we need to face. And the worst of all was the layoffs that from time to time everyone changes, etc. and so on. Yeah. And there are a lot of discussions. I was really going individually, and I was trying to prepare all the teams. I had something like 20 country leading, right? So it was not only one country. And people were coming to me and discussing and were saying to me many times, I have heard that, I'm doing that for you and not for IBM, because you are the one I trust. So that was a very important moment for me. Of course, I was trying to say, yeah, you know, but we are part of the team and so on. I couldn't say that, oh yeah, I'm the best one, I'm the best. I'm not that kind of a person. But it was really for sure impacting me. And just to go back to the female point that you have been talking about, the third moment, important moment for a person that was my my manager or managing the whole, because I was delivery leader, I was part of the technical organization. And it's very important to say that I was leading the technical organization, something like 1,000 hardware software engineers. And the most important time when my manager told me that you have been, and he was with IBM more than 35 years, you have been the best delivery leader I have ever met in my life. And he meant that because I was the only one delivery leader going and having every country meetings, and all the technical resources were sitting in the room and was listening to me seriously, because I was the only one going there without a presentation.
It's interesting. Those three examples you've given, which are fantastic, by the way, Rania, are really good stories for people to hear. The feeling I get is you care about people. You care, yes, genuinely care about people. It's not about what's the process I've got to go through. It's not because HR said make sure you put time in the calendar to deal with people. You genuinely care about, and that has to be true. You came from being a teacher, right? But it just shows what a difference you can make. You don't have to be the best technical expert in the world. You don't have to be the top negotiator. You don't have to be the toughest guy in the room that bangs the desk. Genuinely caring about people, and you're an outstanding leader, right? Fantastic.
That's a great observation, Albert, actually, which is, and it's interesting that the parallels between this interview and one we did yesterday, actually, is that when people want to follow a leader, it's because the leader cares about people. And that's what we're hearing from you here, is it's all about the people, which is brilliant. And that's great feedback for anyone listening to this, is, you know, get that balance right. So I think what we'll ask one more question, then we'll go on to a few quick fire questions, if that's okay. So what advice would you have for, or what do you think would be the best advice you could give to a new leader that's coming into the workplace? And probably some of the answer you've probably already answered to this. And I guess there's a second question I'd like to ask as well, which is, when you coming from being a teacher into business and leadership, what lessons, what did that bring for you? What skills did you learn there that are really, really useful in the leadership space?
Advice for a new leader is, especially nowadays, it's very important that to let the control. Nowadays, especially nowadays, with the COVID situation and the lockdown and the home office, you need to go out of the old-fashioned way. You need to empower the people. A very important thing is trust and empathy.
Yep.
That's the most important. Trust and empathy for your team. I'm keep on saying the same thing. We are each one of us that having a managing or whatever position, anyhow, managing people needs to know that. It's very important. We are what we are because our team is cooperating, our team is contributing, and they are not following someone because the title is accordingly. They're following someone if they have the confidence and the trust and the feeling that he's the guy, the person is real. Okay, that's very important.
Yeah.
What
about the things you learned from moving from being a teacher?
The things I learned, people management. Okay. I'm very sorry to say that sorry. You have heard me many times today, but it's an important thing. And to my opinion, nowadays we don't invest enough time on people management in the organizations, in the corporates. Yeah. We don't. We're just neglecting that time because we don't have the time. It needs time. As I said, it's time consuming, and we don't do that. We are concentrating on the administration things, but we don't really invest the time on this one. And that's why we say all the time, I mean, you know, that people leaving managers, not companies, right? So, and that is half of the story, but that belongs to the story. So I learned for being the teacher that people management is like taking all the people with you and investing the time to all the team. It's a team. We need to reach the target together as a team, and each individual needs to work on this one. So I think that's the most important thing, and be patient. I'm very sorry to say, but you need to be patient.
Okay.
You know, I think one of the challenges here is that there's not enough recognition that being a manager and a leader is a professional role, right? It's not a side role. It's not, I also lead as well as delivering the financials and delivering the delivery and meeting customer sat and also I manage people. People management is a professional job. And I think that's where we need to make sure there's enough awareness of that as we go through this. Fantastic. Yeah. Rania, this is great interview. Really good stuff.
Yeah, great. And so let's do a couple of quick fire ones then to round off. So Albert, do you want to shoot first?
Yeah, I would ask one of my favorite questions, which is, I'm assuming along the way, somebody said that you were their inspiration, right? Who was your role model, or who is your role model when it comes to leadership in any walk of life?
It's not only one. I mean, it's not only one person. It's I was really very lucky in my life to meet great people, and I'm not going to go into names because I don't want to get people embarrassed in that interview. But I was really very honored and lucky to get to know a lot of great people, and I'm taking it for each one of my mentors or my coach or whatever. I'm taking a lot of pieces, and I'm constructing what I am right now. So I took a lot of pieces, but it was not specific one person only. It's a combination of starting the time when I was teaching all the way up to here. It's a lot of people, and I'm thankful to that, because we can't take that as granted. But of course, you need to be open to accept and receive, because if you're coming like, I'm the only one and I'm the best, then you're not coming forward. I mean, it's obviously, you need to learn. We need to accept that we're not perfect. Thank God we're not perfect. And then every day we learn more.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
I think so. Let's go on to the second question. So the second question would be, is there a leadership book that you would recommend to leaders, or a leadership book that you gift as regularly to people when they move into leadership?
I read a lot of things. I maybe surprise you on this one. It's not actually a leadership book. It's the Paulo Coelho about the I try to remember. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neil. The Alchemist. And actually, I met Paulo Coelho. He was in Switzerland 20 years ago. Yeah, and it was interesting because he was in a bookstore, so he was signing his books. So I had one book that it was in Greek. I have all I have in Greek, in English, in German. So that was, as I said, 25 years ago. So I took that with me, and I went to the bookstore and I want him to sign my book, which obviously I didn't buy it there. Right? So, and the owner didn't want me to let him to go to him, right? So he realized something is going on. I said, "What's wrong?" "Yeah, the lady wants you to sign, but it's not a book bought by our bookstore." And said, and Paulo said, "I don't care. Come here." So he took me. That was an incredible story, because he actually people waiting in a queue, and then he took me and my book, and we went back in the back, and we sat down, and he asked me where I'm coming from and what's that and Greek and so on. So I asked him a question, tell me something, because it was my feeling reading that book. Have you copied somehow the story from Odysseus and Ulysses from Homer, right? And he will start laughing. I said, okay, I thought so. And why that is the book? Because what it says is actually that is the journey that counts. And that is what I learned, is that you need to take the journey and learn in every step in your life. So it's I'm more philosophical. I really have read a lot of these 7 ways and so on and so forth. And you have made a great list of books. So I can't say just one of that, many of that, but this one is a very important book. I think everyone should read that one.
So two points follow up on that. One of them is, The Alchemist is one everyone should read. I try and read it every year because it's a very quick read, but it does ground you. It really does. The second thing is what you just heard is why Rania's achieved what she's achieved. Okay, is she comes to the back of a queue with a book she didn't buy in the shop where they're signing and got to the front of the queue and had a personal interview. That's a great example of you focus on something, you want something, you go and get it. Okay.
I love that. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So you've said lots of things on this interview, which have been really good, actually, Rania. But if people are watching this and they want to remember Rania Odermatt, what's a quote that you would want to leave here, either that you've heard or just a quote that you want to make around leadership that you want people to remember you on this interview?
That's a very good point. Always be positive. Because life, the only thing that is for sure in life, that is nothing stays as it is. Okay, the universe, the only standard in universe is that everything will change.
Yeah.
So but if you take that, you need to think positive and adjust and adapt and be creative and don't afraid. Just go for that.
Yeah.
It's very important. And
Yeah.
be and laugh. Put some smile in your life, and that's very important.
Great advice.
Fantastic. Great.
So I've got one final question I was going to ask, and then we'll kind of wrap up, I think, Sheree. So given your background as a teacher, with your team, do you give them homework and do you give them detention?
Of course. Because I think preparation is the half of the story.
Yeah. And if they don't deliver, then you give them detention. They have to stay on in the evening.
No, and I remember where you're going to, because we used to, me and you, we know a lot of people that was doing that in the Sunday meetings.
Correct.
But no.
So,
no, and actually, when that happens, it's a very, it goes back to my teacher thing, is that I'm trying to compensate and help them move. So if I see that they're stuck in a point, I'm just saying, okay, let's sit together and do that together, because we need to come forward. I mean, no, I'm not doing that. I'm respecting my team. And one of the advices I have given them now in the second lockdown is that be disciplined and make breaks and go out for a walk. And because we need to have some structure in the day, we can very easily go into working 24/7. Business never stop, right? Mails never stop coming. So you need to have some discipline, because that is impacting your personal and private life. And another advice I gave them, and you love this one, is that don't listen everything that your wife or your husband is saying to you nowadays. Just ignore it for a while, go for a walk and come back, because they don't really mean it.
Oh, that's good. I'll talk to Anna, and I'll just say it was okay. Rania said it's okay.
I'm very happy to use that as well. I'm really happy to use that.
Brilliant.
Rania, you're on here with us. We had your name down for a while, and I'm really glad to get you on this. And then we interviewed somebody, I think it was probably in December, and we said to them, any other topics, let us know. And she said, I haven't got any other topics, but I must advise, if you get the chance, get Rania on an interview.
That's right.
And that was Carol Chidley, by the way. Carol Chidley has said to us, get Rania. We said, well, we've got her name down already, and she is definitely going to be with us. She just doesn't know it yet. So,
Carol is an angel.
Listen,
Carol is an angel. It's a great person.
Listen, really good having you here. Absolute privilege and a pleasure for us, actually. So thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Neil, I'll leave you to close. Thank you.
Rania, thank you. It's great to see you. Really, really pleased you could join us. Always good to see you. And that's some outstanding advice there for our audience and our leaders. So thanks for that. And to anyone listening, or to all those listening, not anyone listening, please leave comments below. Give us a like if you like what you've heard. Please subscribe as well. And look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Rania, take care. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Cheers, everyone.
Good to talk to you. All the best.
All the best.